Hi, my name is Matt Perez, and we're here without in our hatchery.life. And today I'm without my partner, Jose Leal. Um, so I'm going to do the interview by myself, but it's fine. We're going to think alike. Um, and today we have Johan Hinterauer, and he's from Adaptive Org, and he'll tell us all about it and blah, blah, blah. And from everything I hear, he's very much in the same um, buzz and the same level as we are of thinking and in corporate and all that stuff. So with that, Yona, I want to ask you, how are you? And you're fine. And tell us about yourself and tell us about your organization, Adaptive Org.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Thanks for the introduction and thanks for having me in the show. Well, I'm fine. I jump in here from Austria, so connected to the world. That's a really great opportunity for me to be here today. Yeah, I also miss my partner. Tina is not with me today, so I'm alone as well. And yes, I think we have a lot in common with radical companies and radical purpose. And yeah, who are we, and what is the adaptive organization? And I'd like to start with the story behind it. I'm actually a mechanical engineer, and I'm an environmental engineer. And I started this typical career thing, now almost or more than 20 years ago in the meantime. And this means that I got my first job, I got my second job, and I always had problems with my bosses, you know. So after 2 years, I always had a fight with the bosses, with the founders of the company, stuff like that. And then I had to leave. So and this happened, yeah, with with every new job I got, the same thing happened. And I think I was 28 or so, and then I thought, okay, how can I change that? And my idea was, okay, you have to become boss yourself. And then I did it. I looked and searched for manager opportunities, and I got my first step was a sales manager, and a team of 10 people reported to me, and the second job 20 people reported to me. And in 2014, 2015, I finally got it. I got promoted to the C-suite and got a CSO of a medium-sized company here in Austria. And then I thought, okay, now I have the power and I can change everything what went wrong during the time before in all the other companies, and where I just complained about the bosses and so on. But in the very moment, some strange things happened, because I'm a very collaborative person. You know, I like to cooperate. I'm on eye level with the people and just want to get things solved on behalf of the customer and stuff like that. But when I got promoted and the email was sent out that I am a CSO now, the employees in my company, they withdrawed our relationship. You know, they were, when I entered the room, they were turning around, stuff like that. And I thought, okay, now I'm finally C-level, and this is the reaction. This can't be true. And so I decided, okay, let's think about it. It's been the Christmas holidays, and I had 3 weeks with my family, and I was thinking back and forwards, and then I came to the final decision. Okay, this was not the reason why I was trying to get a C-level guy, and then I quit it. And when I quit it, I had no plan, to be honest. My son was just 1 year old, and I wanted to spend some time with the family. And during this time, Amazon sent me a book called Reinventing Organizations. Most of our viewers probably know this book. Matt, you're nodding, so you know the book as well. And Reinventing Organizations is telling stories about 12, I would say, radical companies, more or less. So it's very similar again to what is a radical company, I guess. And I was so excited reading this book, and at the end of the book, Frederick Laloux, the author, makes a statement saying holacracy may be a solution to become this kind of company he was telling the stories about. And as I was a mechanical engineer, a sales guy for technical stuff, I just believed him and said, okay. And I went online and holacracy website, and then I saw, okay, yeah, there is a training in Vienna, and I booked my slot and went to Vienna, and I still was very excited. And then I went to the coach training to Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam I met my first client. And once I was back, I met with the client, and we did an implementation, holacracy implementation. And this was my first implementation. Then a second one happened, and a third one. And after the third one, I was really disappointed, because actually what I wanted to achieve is to help my clients to become a radical company or a teal company, like Reinventing Organizations is naming these organizations. But at the end of the day, I had the feeling holacracy, it's just bureaucracy. You have a lot of methods. You have very, very strict meeting rules. You have this, what is it called? The name, it's this rule book, the Constitution. You have this Constitution, 40 pages of just rules and what you have to do and what you are not allowed to do and stuff like that. And so I said, okay, no, this is not what I wanted actually when I became a holacracy coach. When I was so excited after reading the book, I actually wanted to do something which feels more natural, more organic. And at that time, I met a guy called Gebhard Borg. He's a German guy, and he had quite similar thoughts. And he was some steps
ahead of you.
Yeah, he was further than me in developing stuff. And then we joined forces. This was in 2017, I think. And the result of the two of us joining forces is what we call adaptive org today. And the adaptive organization, in short, is a meta framework for self-management and an adaptive mindset. But it's quite different from all the frameworks we know out there, like holacracy or other kind of things, because we don't teach practices. We go a completely different way. We try to go over the mindset, and what we have developed is called mental tools and mental models, and this really has a huge impact in transformation work and in our work with our clients. And the idea is that we don't start with practices, we start with mindset, and the client afterwards is capable of selecting the right practices and tools and methods, whatever they need to design their own organization. So this is the idea. And I have seen both sides. I have seen this bureaucratic approaches, and I know our approach now. And if you compare those two, it's really an accelerator to take or to develop mindset over practices. So this is the idea, and this is where we are coming from. And yes, that's why I'm here today.
Good. A good timing too. It's exactly 10 minutes after we started.
Perfect.
So you mentioned radical companies a couple of times, and I want to make a distinction for the world and for you. And the main thing that and you're listening to the book, so you'll come to that, is the world that we live today is a system. We're fish in an aquarium, and we breathe the water, and we crap in the water, and we eat in the water. We do everything in the water. So anybody comes to talk to you about water, you go, what are you talking about water? That's what we live in, right?
Right.
And radical is different in that it's not about water. It's a different system. Okay, I'm not saying that we invented something that radical, but it's a different, more human-centric system. And the big distinction is the in-between is the holacracies and reinventing organizations and blah, 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 which are all about what I call co-management, okay? The ability to make your own decisions, the ability to not have bosses, basically.
Yeah.
But I founded a company in 2007, co-founded a company called Nearsoft, and it grew quite a bit. And it was co-managed from day one. We said we don't want any titles, we don't want anything, da da da. But we still had this halo that people put in our heads, my partner and I. And I didn't realize it until years later that it had to do with ownership. So we may not have been the bosses, we weren't telling people what to do, but we were the owners of the thing. And funny thing is, we people, us, are so used to the idea of the owner up in the sky, owning everything, and anything you do affects his ownership, right? So what we decided to with Radical is co-management, which is well understood, and co-ownership. And not co-ownership like co-ops or anything like that. It's a slightly different, but it's very different. And so that's the big distinction. So co-management, the stuff that Lalou talks about, the stuff that holacracy attempted to get to and stuff like that, are one aspect of it. There's a company in Spain called K2K, has been doing this for years, and since 2007 as well. And they converted a bunch of companies to co-management. And they do a little bit on the co-ownership side. They say, oh, the split is the owners, the real owners, the legal owners are going to get 70% of the profits, and the other people are going to get 30% of the profits, to whatever you want. And they help them and they guide them, and they do a very good job of that. There's another company called Chrysos, which decided that the owners were part of the problem. So what they're doing is they are becoming the owners of buying companies, and then doing the K2K thing on that company. And when I asked them about ownership, they said, well, we'll sell it to somebody, or we sell it to employees, and in other words, they hadn't thought about it. And what Radical, the book, and everything that we've come up with since is that those two are co-ownership and co-management are very, very much one thing. So you can't have one without the other, stuff like that. And so that's the distinction that we want to put on the Radical model. But it's interesting that you went into holacracy very enthusiastic, and after about 3 tries, you went, "This is bullshit. This is not quite what I wanted," because it's not. It's the 17-page constitution and all the rules and the connection to the top and the connection to the bottom. And this guy can talk to that guy. It's so many rules, and I don't know if Tina has told you about, but what happened in your company, and what happened in every holacracy company, is that people take the roles very seriously. They're like their jobs. So if they're here with the one hat and you ask him something that you know he's responsible for, but it doesn't relate to the hat, they go, no, I can't answer you now. I only have this hat. You have to attend this other meeting where wear the other hat, and then I can answer you. It's like you're here, but there's so the way I see it is holacracy is a way of making fiat bearable, and fiat is a very simple word. It's a because they say so. Okay, the way the parents say, "Go to your room." Why? Because they say so. That's the end of it, right?
Yeah.
And you believe that your parents have your interests at heart, and they love you and all that stuff. But do it because they say so. And I know because I am a parent, and I was in corporate many years, very successful, and all that stuff. But you're right. Once you get to a certain level, people see you different because you see you're closer to the owners.
Exactly.
Right? And so our problem is how to get past that. And so that's what Radical is about. And you'll learn more by listening to the book. So you were 28 when you started this?
When I started, you mean Adaptive Org?
When you started Adaptive Org, yeah.
No, when I started Adaptive Org, so that's now let me 7 years now. I've been 35 when I started that, but I tried to claim the ladder with 28. So
okay,
and then I made it in 7 years to the C level. So yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're a lot faster and a lot smarter than I am because I was 65.
You were 65
when this whole thing came. The little tidbit about ownership didn't hit me until I was 65.
Yeah.
And it all came from, we sold the company and we got money for the company, and my partner and I got a bunch of money. And I started thinking, why am I getting this much money? I got nothing against money. Okay. It's fine. But why was I getting all that money when I knew that other people had helped tremendously in growing the company?
Yeah. Right.
And that's when I came to the realization that ownership has something to do with it. And doing some more research, I realized that ownership is a big part of capitalism. It's the root of capitalism, really. And people blame capitalism. Capitalism is fine. Ownership is fine. It's just what we've done with them that is not fine.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, it's kind of I made kind of the same observations. When I went away from holacracy, it was exactly because holacracy is using the people, the self-management power of people to grow the profits of a small number of people. It's just the same system. It's all about efficiency, just to have more efficiency, and some people get all the money. And that's why I said, okay, that's not fair. I strongly believe so. If people show up in an organization with their entire potential and their willingness to collaborate, to be very transparent, to show up as a human being, then they have the right to get a part of the ownership as well. So this is, I think, you can't do one without the other. So I totally agree with you saying, and this is what we want to stand for as well. And the Adaptive Org is so to say, this is within the equity model. This is the utmost you can do from our perspective. Matt, we have talked earlier, and the other thing we do is we work beyond equity with the software we try to develop. But that's another story, But within equity, I totally agree. It's really, I think it's just fair if you also share the profits with the people in the organization.
Right. And that was the approach we took. That in the fiat system, in the aquarium where we live in, profits have to do with capital. If I put in $1 and you put in $2, you get twice as much of the profits as I do. And in the radical model is based on contributions. So if you contribute twice as much as me, you should get twice as much as me. And the thing is, how do you determine what somebody contributed or didn't contribute? And it's really simple. It's really, really simple. It's what other people think are your contributions. And of course, what you think the other people's contributions are. And by doing that, you don't need a boss, first of all. And I may see you do something and go, not a contribution. It doesn't excite me. But the guy next to me sees the same thing happening and he gets all excited. And you don't ask him why. You don't ask him, how come? Because I didn't get excited. What's wrong with you? And so you let everybody say, this is a contribution, this is not a contribution, and stuff like that. And at least in theory, that solves a lot of problems. And so tell me about the software that you're developing.
Yeah, it's exactly the same idea. So the software means that we say, okay, we want to replace these formal organizations by a software, and the software does a kind of virtual simulation of equity. So what does this mean in reality? In reality, you build a formal company and say, okay, we invoice with this company. So that's it. We invoice and this company is receiving money. But in the background, you can use our software to distribute profits along the contribution of the people. So this is exactly the same idea. Okay. And the contribution is determined by peer-to-peer. Okay, so it's exactly the same idea. I think we have some other solutions for small things, but we believe in the same story. It's really about that an organization at the end of the day, it's a community, a value community. Okay, so everyone involved in this community creates some value. If he or she wouldn't be there. So that's the idea. Yes. And why do we need bosses? So it's just a community who is creating value for a third party, for customers, for the public, so for whomever. This is the idea. And with software, I think with technology, with software, we can do the coordination of this kind of organizations in future. That was the problem in the past, because as long as humans had to do all the coordination work, they thought, okay, I'm doing the coordination, I'm the boss. But this is actually a misunderstanding. This is just this is our interpretation of doing it. But this is not the only way you can do it. So and yeah, we share this idea. It's all about contribution, and it's about peer-to-peer. So the people collaborate and they set the contribution, and we do it in percentage, for example. So I don't know with method or how do you measure a contribution, but we do it in percentage with our software.
A percentage of what?
Percentage of 100. So it means you're building a venture, and the venture is 100%. And then you're saying, okay, it's a social process, and we ask each other, what are you going to do and what am I going to do, and stuff like that. And then we come up with a proposal. You get 25, I get 25, 30, 20, and that's how we distribute the money. And the important thing is what we have learned over the time is that you have to do the distribution for the future. So we don't distribute once the things are already clear and we have done the work. We do it for the future, and we do it kind of, we distribute our according our expectations in the future. So that's how we do it. So,
Yeah, excuse me. Our system is different in that it's based on contributions, not in the future, is contributions as I see them. So I got my phone, which Adam Smith didn't have one of these. But, and by the way, equity was a great solution in the 18th century, in the 17th century, in the 16th century. But we're in the 21st century, and we carry these things around. And it's ridiculous that we're not taking, using them more. But anyways, rather than focusing on the future or the past or anything like that, is what are you doing that I recognize as a contribution? And the example that I often use is the cleaning lady. This is in Mexico. The one that took care of the building in Mexico always went around in the mornings picking up crap that people had left on the desk before, and dusting and stuff like that. And I was sitting there because I was from out of town. I don't have anything to do at the motel, so I walk over and just stare at the walls in the office. But this young woman was sitting on, close to me, and but she looked like shit. She looked really beat down, and this woman went by, and when she came back, the cleaning lady, and when she came back, she started talking to her, and I was trying to listen. I was trying to listen to the whole conversation, and yeah, she had gone through a traumatic thing and blah blah, and she couldn't sleep, and that's where she looked bad. But by the end of it, she said, screw him, he's lost. I thought, wow, what an impact this woman has had in this other young woman. And if I had the app in my computer at the time, I would have given her a lot of, great contribution, because it was a great contribution to her. Now, it turns out to be a great contribution to the company also, because now she went from playing games to actually doing stuff.
Yeah.
And, but even if she hadn't done that, it's just, you have somebody who's feeling good and somebody who's feeling bad. And in that sense, it was a great contribution. And so that's what we base it on, is anything that you consider a contribution, not equity, not fixed percentages, which is, to me, is a fiat thing, or anything like that, because we've all played the game of equity for a long time, right? You come in the company, they give you so many shares, and you go, what's the percentage? And they go, oh, we don't want to tell you. And you insist, and they go, oh, it's less than 1%. It's 0.75%. But it's very good because we're going to grow like crazy and all that shit. The reality is, how do you know that I'm going to contribute at 0.75? And how do you know that I'm not going to contribute at 10 or 0.5, or you don't know? So so that's why we don't base it on fixed percentages or what you think you're going to do or what you roll, or because people are more eclectic than that. They start very like you did with holacracy, right? You were very enthusiastic about holacracy. you were probably doing 100% on accuracy for a while, and then
Right.
it decayed very quickly. It went from 50 to 10 to 0. And what I want to do is keep your contributions to accuracy 100, 10, 0. That's it.
Yeah, right.
So we should talk after this, and maybe we got something in common going, because we had a team in Mexico that has done the application and is doing some improvements and stuff like that.
Yeah, we are onboarding our first testers right now. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And so where do you think adaptive org going? What do you think is the ultimate impact that you want to create, and the purpose that you want to create, and what are you doing about it?
Yeah, what we really want our impact. So our impact, we want to really provide a solution within the equity model. We have two solutions. The adaptive org is cutting edge when it comes to self-management in the boundaries of the equity world. So that is our idea with the adaptive organization.
Okay.
And our software is beyond equity. So those are the two things, and that's how we think, and we can see that we have, I think, 6 or 7 adaptive org clients right now, and the stories they are writing every day, it's so amazing, it's so impressive. We couldn't have imagined what they are doing, stuff which is actually not real, because I don't know whether it is the same in the US, but here in Europe, usually the organization develops a contract with the employees about working hours and this kind of stuff. So this is what you usually do here.
Right.
And it's really ridiculous when you see adaptive organizations, the employees creating the contract for themselves. So this is the kind of stuff we love, and this is what we want to see more and more out there. And beyond that, I believe if we take the climate crisis serious, there is no other choice than transforming our organizations to self-managed organizations, because there is a very strong correlation, and there is research that self-management, co-ownership, is also accelerating the sustainable transformation.
Yes.
So I think it's really now is the time, and I hope more and more companies and organizations start their transformation journey, and the sustainability, the impact perspective is really a good start, I'd say.
Yeah. I believe the same thing of every major problem that we have, and climate change being the major, has to do with the way that we think, the mindset thing that you were talking about, and the way that we expect things to happen, and the way competition is a fundamental thing of what we have today. And competition creates isolation, and I'm not killing my environment, I'm killing yours. Who gives a shit, right? But mine is clean, and and that's the way that people think for the most part. And women this and men that, and gay people this and that. That it's all at the root. It's all the same problem. It's this idea that I'm going to tell you how to do things, and you're gonna, I gotta win in order to tell you, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. The problem out there is that we have people doing toxic stuff for the world, for the climate, but they don't see their impact. So this is the problem. So they don't own the problems they are causing. They are they're sitting there and doing their job, but they don't recognize the connection to the harm they do in the world. And how can you solve something? So how can you change your mind if you are not connected to the consequences of your own doing? So that is why we need self-management, have connected directly to impact and sustainable transformation.
Yeah, it's like shooting a gun into the void and not knowing that there's people in the void.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're killing people.
Well, I'm not seeing them, yes, but I'm killing them.
But I don't see them die. You know, I get pleasure out of the kickback and all that stuff. So it's been very nice. And I really like to stay in contact. But I have to announce that next week, Gustavo Mendes from Sao Paulo, Brazil, he's a very handsome guy, co-founder of Connecta Cooperativism and Innovation. The company's vision is to make cooperativism a protagonist of the new economy by activating the cooperative innovation ecosystem. I don't know what I just said. I don't get any of that, but we'll find out in the half hour that we have dedicated to him. And my partner is from Portugal, so he speaks a little bit of Portuguese, and hopefully this will go well. So, but very nice. Thank you for your time. Thank you
for having me.
Thank you for what you're doing, and I hope that we can collaborate more in the future.
I hope so as well. And again, thanks for having me. Send regards to Jose, and yeah, we'll see each other soon.
All right. Here we are.
Yeah.